Welcome to Money Matters with Greg, where we dive into the money conversations shaping your life. From investments to estate planning, insurance to taxes, we cover it all with a fresh perspective. Join Greg and his guests each week to get inspired and take control of your financial future. Let's get started. Securities and investment advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Hey there, and good afternoon. It's Greg Farrell, CEO and President of Farrell Wealth. The show's Money Matters with Greg. It's a show about money. We talk here on WVLP 103.1 FM and are thankful for the opportunity to be able to speak here and talk about finances for the next half an hour or so. Some of the things that we might be able to help add some value to your family and add some money to your pocketbooks. So excited to be on here again today. It is the week of June 23rd. It seems like a blur. I just got off vacation, which is fantastic. I'm sorry to miss you guys last week. We podcast here on Apple and anywhere really you pod, Spotify, you name it. But the show's broadcast WVLP, and I was away with the family. Was very excited to be able to put everybody together and very honored by all their presence, that everybody could enjoy a week with dad and mom and have a good one. So we had a great time. It's back to it here. It's back to business. And we are ready to rock and roll here on Money Matters with Greg. With WVLP and being on the station, I wanted to mention July 11th is a fundraiser that we're having here in Valparaiso, Indiana. And locally, we're having it here at a hog roast at the Butterfield Pavilion. It's a wonderful pavilion. It's been redone the last couple of years. It looks fantastic. It's from 4 to 8 on July 11th, which is a Friday. So stop on by if you're around locally. We'd love to see you. It's a Mexican fair in celebration of Cinco de Mayo, and we're going to go Mexican this year. They've done hog roast in the past, but they're going to go with Mexican this year. So we're happy to support that, happy to be a proud sponsor of that event for WVLP 103.1. So come on out. We'd love to have you and love to see you as well. Some of the things we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the market, which unfortunately I have to talk about the market again because it's just been necessary with the way things have moved in regards to the recent geopolitical news that you might have heard of. There was a couple things that happened over in Iran. And then I want to talk about the second, really the end of this session today, as far as this episode. I really want to mention some of the things that the Secure Act 2.0 came out with a little while ago, a couple of years ago, even back in 2022. Secure Act was in 2019, and then 2022 was revised with more additions. I want to be able to kind of update you on those because those provisions and those things are coming about here in 2024, 2025, 2026. Many of the things that the IRS has not even ruled on yet, but they are coming. I want to be able to mention to you some of the things that might really be helpful for you overall. So with that being said, show's Money Matters with Greg. I'm Greg Farrell, CEO and President of Farrell Wealth. It's a wealth management firm here locally in Valparaiso, Indiana, serving clients in 22 states nationwide. We work with a lot of high net worth, ultra high net worth individuals and families, and then also do a lot of retirement planning in regards to businesses and retirement planning. We're going to talk a little bit about that when I get into Secure Act 2.0 today. And again, catch us wherever you spot it, wherever you pod. The podcast will be up and running in a day or so. From this episode. It'll be episode 159, which is crazy. And then we'll be on YouTube as well. So you can catch us on the YouTube channel at Farrell Wealth, and all of our socials are at Farrell Wealth. It's like Will Ferrell, pronounced like Will Ferrell, but he spells his name wrong. It's FARRALWEALTH.com. With that being said, I also want to mention real quick, we are excited for the next few weeks to be sponsors of the TBT basketball tournament that's nationwide, that has alums from all different universities and also programs um, out there as far as charities as well, for $1 million prize money, winner takes all uh, competition. If you've never seen it, it's incredible. And we are going to help sponsor the Valparaiso University team that is out of Valpo. So we're very excited about that. So I'll have more information on that on upcoming episodes, but be on the lookout at the TBT tournament for our new company, Fairwealth NIL, that will be sponsoring that company, or that team. That company is a new company that started about a year ago, helping college athletes with manage financial literacy for their NIL dollars, and hopefully helping them save for the future. So we can talk more about that later. In the meantime, I want to rock and roll here and get right into the overall markets, and just say, hey, look, Tuesday was quite a day. This is, broadcasting here on Thursday at 1 o'clock, and then replayed on Saturday. And just last Tuesday, we hit record highs thanks to the de-escalation of the geopolitical tensions that happened, and also dovish reaction to Chairman Powell's testimony from the Federal Reserve before Congress, and the S&P rose a little over 1%. Uh, Really gapped higher on the open amid the broad wave of global risk on money flows after President Trump announced the ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Um, a big shift in global geopolitical landscape for sure, that's really been weighing on stocks recently, with oil going all the way up to $75 a barrel and now going all the way down to 65, which is a huge help to the consumer. Like I said, outside of all that and what happened over the weekend with the nuclear bombings that actually happened, that looks like it's going to create that ceasefire, did create the ceasefire, and then ultimately talks here in the next few days, was the Chairman Powell's FOMC comments about sort of a quote unquote remain wait and see mode. His semi-annual testimony before Congress, he sort of noted to policymakers that we remain well positioned to react to incoming data. That's interesting because the consumer confidence index fell more than 5 points this week to 93 from 99. We're expecting a slight rise to 99. And then two home price reports unexpectedly fell into negative territory in April. So, given Powell's sort of data dependent commentary, Treasuries really, Treasuries rallied. They caught a bid for sure, and the rate cut expectations kind of shifted to the favor of the doves, which further supported the rally. So we'll see where this goes from here, but it's just interesting to see where we are in regards to the markets. I mean, S&P 500's rallied here over 6% in the last 3 months. We have now are up 3% for the year, where we were previously down, and we'll just kind of see how this goes. Since our, I think, 154th episode, where we talked with our Chief Investment Officer John Farrell, um, and John and I talked about where the market was and how things were pretty beat up. Since that, we've rallied almost 7%. So, staying invested, investing in the right things is, of course, the right thing to do, and investing in a diversified portfolio as well is what we advocate across the board. You can check out my Modern Portfolio Theory episode that I just recently published a few weeks ago too, and you can find that obviously again anywhere you pod. All right, so station identification, it's 103.1 FM, WVLP. We're happy to be here today, broadcasting the show's Money Matters with Greg. I'm Greg Farrell, CEO and President of Farrell Wealth. It's a wealth management firm with financial advisors, registered licensed financial advisor, helping people with their money and hopefully helping you with yours as you go out throughout your days, and maybe I can add some value um, to your lives, on a daily basis. So one of the things I wanted to be able to mention was this legislation that came out of Washington, which not a lot of legislation that comes out of Washington is very agreeable or very good at all, in my opinion. But um, this one was actually one of my favorite things that has come out of Washington in probably my lifetime in regards to the fact that in Washington, many politicians can never really seem to agree on much. They're very good at disagreeing and very good at not agreeing. And this doesn't really create an environment that we as taxpayers appreciate, quite honestly. We kind of wish they'd all get along and figure it out and not be so vehemently against each other's positions. But one thing that they can get into in agreement with is the fact that Americans don't save enough money. And we find that this is absolutely the truth. And I'm sure you can pretty much relate to it too, because we should all be saving more money for our retirement. And most Americans don't. Um, so Congress enacted a landmark retirement legislation known as the Secure Act 2.0 that would really incentivize individuals to save for retirement while increasing the access to workplace plans as well, and maybe more access to it. So the new law included a number of provisions intended to benefit individuals as well as small business owners. And as a small business owner, myself, and I have been since I was 23, um, I want to be able to make sure everybody knows about what exactly went down and what exactly you can take advantage of overall. All right, so one of these things that I wanted to be able to mention was this enhancement of tax credits. Me as a business owner, since I was 23, and multiple different businesses that I've started and run, and then now with Farrell Wealth and now with Farrell Wealth NIL, I have an opportunity to be able to, as a business owner, anyone does, establish a retirement plan and be now incentivized with tax credits for small businesses. It's really, really nice. These all started in the beginning of 2023, but employers with up to 50 employees are eligible for a credit equal to 100% of the amount contributed by the employer, up to $1,000 per employee. So on the larger side, 50 to 100 employees or over 50 employees, which is a really, solid small business, the employer receives a credit to up equal to 100% in the years one and two, and then 75% in year three, 50% in fourth year, and the 25% in the fifth year. So a huge credit for being able to start this. So it kind of phases out as the number of employees exceed 50 during a taxable year, and any employees earning more than $100,000 per year are excluded. But it's a really nice incentive, and the current 3-year startup credit is equal to 50% of plan expenses up to a cap up to $5,000. So even smaller businesses below 50 can, if you start up a brand new plan, you can get a credit up to $500 each year over three years, which is really nice. So that's an extra $1,500 in incentive that you didn't have before. And these are all really coming about. It's interesting. The IRS really hasn't even ruled on some of these things, but Congress came out with it and they said this is what we're doing. And the IRS has been very slow um, uh, to rule on any of this. But It's out there, and I just want to let you know that it is, and it is something that's available to you as a business owner, but also some of these provisions are available to you um, as a participant in a plan if you currently have a plan today. So the Secure Act of 2019 raised the age of RMDs. The second one is really changing the required minimum distribution um, number. Secure Act of 2019 raised the age of RMDs from 70 and a half to 72. Most everybody knows that. And then from 72 to 73 in the year 2023, and then 75 in 2033. So that's going higher. Earlier drafts in the Secure Act 2.0 had a phase-in period with a gradual increase to 75 by 2023. The final version does not include a phase-in and will simply raise the RMD age from 73 to 75. So basically what that is you are required to uh, Uncle Sam's never seen your account that's been in a 401k or an IRA. You've always been deferring that money. And that deferring, as far as that tax, you've been deferring it and deferring it and deferring it. Well, it used to be now 70 and a half, they wanted their money and you owed a percentage of that money, whether you're male or female. The table's different and comes out every single year with the IRS, and you can Google it. Um, it's a small percentage initially, but they want their money. You're forced to take out some of that money. You not just let it grow tax deferred for all these years, which really makes people frustrated if they don't need the income. But that is what it is. And so that was 70 and a half. Well, that went to 72, now 73, and then ultimately 75, which is nice. So you get to grow that money even more without having to touch it, without having to pull that money out and requiring you to that minimum distribution. So the other thing that it did was actually it reduced a penalty on a tax for the failures um, for an individual to take a minimum distribution from. It was really severe at one point. It was 50%. So now it's down to 25%. Plus, they allow you to correct it. So if the failure is corrected in a timely manner, the excise tax is reduced from 25% to 10%. And these changes are in effect as of 2023. So if you're making a mistake on your required minimum distribution, and again, you want to add up all the different IRAs you have because you're required to take a total from one or total from all of them, however you want to do it. If you want to add them all up and take it from one, you can do that. These changes are pretty nice, and so I don't do it, I forget to do it, whatever, and I try to fix it. And a timely manager, it's a 10% penalty, which is certainly not as severe as 50. So that's really, really nice. You get basically a self-correction that you're able to self-correct on your own as an individual. The next thing that they added was a catch-up contribution that would increase the changes from earners over 145,000. Big significant change to catch-up contributions in the Secure Act 2.0. First was the effective in 2024 that all catch-up contributions for individuals earning more than $145,000 per year must be made on a Roth or an after-tax basis. Now, this does not apply to simple plans, but if you have a simple plan. Um, but that's really nice because then you can actually add into a Roth if you are earning over 145,000, which if you're filing jointly, you're probably not eligible for a Roth anyway, and there's no Roth salary contribution limits inside of a Roth 401k, which is nice. So you can ask me more about that later. By the way, if you want to ever ask me any questions, just email me at greg@farrowwealth.com, and I'd be happy to email you back with responses or call you or whatever it might be you need and help you out. The second catch-up contribution that's really cool is once you turn 50, you're allowed to have a catch-up contribution. They change it every year. It goes up. It was $7,000. Now it's $7,500. It's going to eight. It'll go to 8,500. It'll go to nine down the line. But what they're also adding in the new Secure Act 2.0 is individuals between the ages of 60 and 63 are now eligible for a higher catch-up contribution in addition to their current catch-up. So current laws, like I said, allow for the catch-up contributions to be about 7,500 bucks. But effective in 2025, individuals would be able to contribute the greater of $10,000 indexed or 150% of the regular catch-up, which would be about $11,250 in 2025, 2023. Now, for simple plans, individuals would be able to contribute a greater of $5,000, which would be about 5520 in 2023. So, again, going into 2025, you're going to have to figure this out. Obviously, you can work with an accountant on this to make sure that you have the numbers right. Another thing that was added that it needs to be mentioned is there's a self-correction of inadvertent plan and IRA violations without submission to the IRS. You don't have to submit it, you just fix it yourself. So all inadvertent plan violations may be self-corrected under this new IRS employee plans compliance resolution system. Like everything in the IRS and the government has some sort of acronym, and it's called the EPCRS. You can Google it. Without a submission to the IRS, the rule does not apply to the IRS if the IRS discovers a violation of an audit on an audit, or if the self-correction is not completed within a reasonable period after a failure is identified. Now, whatever that reasonable period is we'll see. But anyway, nice offering for you to be able to fix it if you've got a problem. So the other thing too is it added was matching contributions for student loans payments. Now, as an employer, you can actually, if you have a match, and most employers have, it's 3, 5, 6, 10% matches. And recognizing that many individuals are not able to contribute to workplace plans because they're paying back student loan payments. Secure Act 2.0 includes a provision aimed at encouraging younger workers to begin saving for retirement. So what they allowed is the employer to use that match for all contributions under a 401k, 403b, or a simple IRA plan based on a participant's student loan payments. Government employers would also be permitted to make matching contributions to a 457b plan for their retirement or any other plan with respect to such payments. This provision started in 2024, sorry. So that's big because with a lot of students coming out of school, they have student debt. You as an employer can use that as an attracting good talent to say, look, we hear you. We're going to take our 3% match and put it towards your college debt. Now, there's no necessary rule on finding out what that debt is or how that debt looks. Every employer is different. So there's no rule coming saying, look, you have to go verify that the student, now the new employee has student loans. Each employer is allowed to do it however they like to be able to make sure that they are really being truthful and the match does go towards that student debt. So that's a per business owner policy that you're going to have to come up with and put together. But really nice. I mean, it's a great rule. It's a great offering. The other thing is too is auto enrollment and auto escalation in most new plans are required. Beginning in 2025, all new 401k and 403b plans will be required to include automatic enrollment for all eligible employees up to a minimum of 3% and a maximum of 10% of eligible compensation. And they also have automatic escalation, which means you increase your contributions at 1 percentage point per year to at least 10% and a maximum of 15% each year. which is really nice. So plans in existence before the date of enactment would be grandfathered in or not subject to these requirements. But then there's also an exception with government plans, church plans, employers with 10 or few employees, and new businesses within the first 3 years of operation. And additionally, it does not require an employer to have a plan, but instead applies to employees deciding to start a plan, um, which is which is nice. It's actually well thought out to say, look, we already had a plan. We don't shouldn't be required to do auto escalation and auto enrollment like other people now that are just starting out as a new plan. So it makes a lot of sense. The next thing that they added was effective in 2023. Simple and SEP contributions for employees and employers can both be made on a Roth basis. The employee must select the Roth treatment to make sure that is valid. Oh, and I forgot to mention, like the employee, if they want to not enroll in the 401k, they just have to defer and say, I don't want any match. I don't want any automatic enrollment. I don't want to automatically be in because I basically opt out. So that's back to the previous one. As far as the listing goes, if you opt out, you're not going to get anything, which don't doesn't really make much sense because it is free money from your employer. The other thing that really helped was they added two ways to save for emergencies through a 401k plan. It enables emergency savings accounts to be created within 401k plans, which will allow employees to save for these emergencies that make withdrawals without a penalty. So a lot of times, plans allow for loans, and employees get in trouble for whatever reason. They have a crisis in life, they have a healthcare crisis or issue, and they end up tapping into their 401k. Well, this is a nice way to prevent that in the fact that there is a cap of $2,500 in emergency cash savings that you can put in, and contributions must be made on a Roth basis so that distributions can be non-taxable, regardless of how it's distributed. But employee contributions can be made towards the emergency savings account. Employers must match the contributed amount into a standard portion of the plan and not the emergency savings account, and the same rate at the same rate that they match regular contributions to the plan. So employers still have to match in a separate bucket, but employees can put away enough to get enough saved up to $2,500. And this is really intended to support individuals who want to save, but are fearful of having assets tied up in a retirement plan and having, unable to access it without the penalty, which is 10% if you're under the age of 50, 9.5, which is brutal. So, and you have to pay taxes on it. This way, it goes into a Roth. You can pull up to $2,500 if you have an issue, which is nice. So additionally to that, there is a provision that will no longer subject emergency distributions from retirement plans or IRAs with that 10% penalty, like I mentioned. There'll be a limit of one distribution per year, and that distribution cannot exceed the lesser of $1,000 or the excess of the individual's vested benefit over $1,000. This provision started in 2024. So again, the IRS still hasn't even ruled on this, but it's available, and you should be talking to your. These are not required if you had a previous plan that was set up years ago. They're not required by business owners to incorporate these. But these are things you can ask for as an employee because they're available now and say, hey, look, do you know about this? I was listening to this podcast. And it'd be nice to have the offerings. Do you know about even a match going to a Roth, which is another new offering, which is the next offering. So you are now, as an employer, allowed to contribute to your employees' matches in a Roth situation. These contributions can go into 401k, 403b, and even government 457bs. Um, and uh, It's really nice because before you always had to throw that money into a tax deferred bucket for the employee. Now you can actually contribute that match in a Roth, which is even better. Um, and then one of the last ones is you can roll over excess 529 assets to a Roth IRA. So for the beneficiary that you have, let's say a kid you save money for gets a scholarship and doesn't need, and is left over 529 money, you can always just roll that into a tax-free rollover to a Roth IRA now, which is a brand new provision. And I think it's magic. We're huge fans of Roths and want everybody to have one if they're eligible. The beneficiary of a Roth account or a 529 account and a Roth IRA, they got to be the same. And the 529 account of the beneficiary must have been maintained for at least 15 years. So there are rules on this. You can't just show up and do it, but it is doable. The rollover could be subject to the lesser of the Roth IRA limits, which is obviously income limits. And the aggregate amount really contributed to the 529 account over the previous 5 years as well. There's a per beneficiary lifetime limit of $35,000, but really nice because nothing's better than giving a paid up Roth IRA to any beneficiary that they can grow tax free for the rest of their life. So it's really aimed at supporting the middle income savers who have been making contributions to a 529 plan in lieu of saving for their own retirement. Now they can actually work on themselves and instead of their kids as far as this goes, and have the options to be able to do it. So with that said, we always like to be able to make sure that we offer our clients as many options as possible and just present them, whether they fit for a client or not. It ultimately depends. But as far as being educated and being informed, I hope that these provisions allow you to be able to go to your employer or allow you to be able to put more money away in some sort of mechanism, allow you to be able to roll over your 529 kid for your, to your kids or even your grandkids. So, if you didn't know about them before, there you go. If you knew about them before, hey, go for it. And I highly recommend you just keep on consulting, obviously, tax attorney, tax accountants, and your financial advising team. But with that being said, that's what we're trying to bring to you here is adding some value on the show. So the show's Money Matters with Greg. I'm Greg Farrell, CEO and president of Fair Wealth. And with Money Matters, we try to bring some value to you guys out there in the listening audience here on WVLP FM 103.1 locally to Valparaiso, Indiana. And then also streamed as well at WVLP.org. And then, of course, in our podcasting world that we have out there as far as wherever you pod, Spotify, Apple, you name it. Next week, I'm going to talk about the Goldman Sachs 10K SB program that I was a part of, and I've been honored to be a part of. I want to give some really nice, solid time to what that is and how that works and how that might be able to help some small businesses out there. I was flattered and honored to be part of the inaugural class in the state of Indiana. And we just graduated last week. We're all pretty tired because they beat us up pretty badly, but I'll explain more about that later in another event. So in the meantime, thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this, and have a fantastic and profitable week. We'll see you.
Thanks for tuning in to Money Matters with Greg. We hope you gained some valuable insights today. Remember, your financial journey is personal, but you don't have to go it alone. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and share. Until next time, here's to making your money work for you. Securities and investment advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.